Imagine you've just spent a decade building the most respected brand in your industry. You're at the absolute peak of your powers. Then, on a Tuesday, you burn the entire thing to the ground. That's exactly what Robert Fripp did in 1974. He called it total cessation. He didn't just walk away, he deleted King Crimson from existence. For 7 years, that name was a ghost. It was a relic of a prog-rock era that the early 80s was currently burying under piles of neon spandex and shiny drum machines. By 1981, progressive wasn't just a style, it was a dirty word. It was a death sentence. When Fripp finally decided to bring the name back, he didn't bring back the mellotrons or the flutes. He didn't even bring back the same kind of music.
Instead of a city, you'll get small self-sufficient communities, modern villages. And instead of King Crimson, you're now getting me, a small, independent, mobile and intelligent unit.
He brought back something lean, something surgical. Because this wasn't just a comeback, it was a hostile takeover of a new decade.
The old world is in fact dead, and what we are seeing now is, if you like, the death throes.
Think about the room where this started. It's early 1981. Its damp probably smells like stale coffee and ozone from overdriven amps. You have Bill Bruford sitting behind a kit that looks more like a laboratory than a rock setup. And you have Tony Levin holding a Chapman Stick, this weird wooden heavy beam that he has to tap with both hands like a piano. Then there's Adrian Belew, a guy who could make a guitar sound like a rhinoceros or a police siren. And finally Fripp, sitting on a stool, unblinking. The danger here wasn't just the music, it was the weight of the name. If they had called the band Discipline, which was the original plan, they would have been just another interesting new wave group. But the moment they put King Crimson on the poster, they were inviting a fight. They were daring the fans who wanted schizoid men to sit through something that sounded like a bunch of rhythmic clocks fighting each other. Now let's talk a little about the interlock. This is the part that usually breaks a band.
What would be the effects on the relationship in a band if not only do you share all the money equally, which we do, and you don't have a boss, which we don't?
Usually in rock you have a leader and the followers. One guy plays the rhythm, the other plays the lead. It's comfortable.
The natural product of our particular culture is the star system.
But Fripp was obsessed with gamelan music. Think about how a clock works. Small gears moving fast to make a big hand move slow.
You couldn't conceivably have stars within gamelan. It simply wouldn't be possible.
I'm very interested in the idea of the gamelan, because it's a system of music which you can't divorce at all from the societal system, or the value system which gives rise to it. I mean, it's impossible to have a star in gamelan.
Within the piece itself, the guitars are mainly working in fives, which is an entirely natural time signature for a Bulgarian folk singer, but not for an American folk singer who would essentially be working in rock and roll.
He wanted two guitars to do that. But this is the thing that he didn't want to do. He didn't want them to play the same thing. He wanted them to play around each other. So imagine two people trying to walk through a doorway at exactly the same time. Of course, usually they would bump into each other. And it's awkward, it's a messy situation.
But really, it doesn't work like that at all. Music plays the musician, and the test of any good music in a practical way is when you can't tell whether the musician is playing the music or the music is playing the musician.
But Fripp's idea was that if they both moved with perfect mathematical precision, they would slide past each other without even touching. It sounds cool on paper, in practice it was a nightmare. If Belew missed one note, just one, The entire song didn't just sound off. It collapsed. It fell apart like a car losing a wheel at 80 miles an hour. There was no faking it in this band. You were either perfect or you were silent.
Robert had been telling me how much they were going to play things in 4/4. And the first thing we played was that thing in 17/8 from Discipline. Bill said, this is just a little something in 17/8.
Think about the frustration Belew must have felt. He's this wild, expressive player from the Zappa and the Bowie schools. He wants to scream. He wants to make noise.
For example, if this is R4, you can have a basic 5 on top of it. But can you take it faster? And can you bring your mind to a sufficient point of independence outside that 5 so that your attention can be spread from the immediate moment you're working in to accept an underpinning of 17?
And here is Fripp telling him he has to play a 5-note pattern in 5/8 time, while Fripp plays a 4-note pattern in 4/4. For 3 bars, they sound like they are in different zip codes. They are fighting for air.
Basically, it breaks down that the rhythm section is in 17 and the front line are in 15.
Then, on the 4th bar, they snap together. That snap is where the music happens, where the magic happens. But getting there, that's the dangerous part, because it's cold and it's mechanical. It's why so many old fans hated it at first. They didn't hear the soul, they just heard the machinery.
But I love the blur and the stillness of the character of the way we were feeling at that time. For King Crimson in 1981, Japan was one of the first places we toured, and we were feeling very good about our new material, kind of radical new material, and it was a pleasure to bring it to Japan, kind of exciting.
But look at what else was happening in 1981. You had bands like Yes and Genesis who were also trying to survive, but they were doing it by thinning out. They were writing pop songs. They were trying to be liked. Fripp didn't care if you liked him. He wanted to be dangerous. He wanted to show that you could be complex without being bloated. The gear was part of the danger too. They were using some of the first guitar synthesizers ever made. These things were temperamental. They were heavy. They had cables that looked like they belonged in a server room. One bad connection and the rhinoceros sound Belew needed for the climax of a song became a high-pitched squeal that could clear a room. They were playing on the bleeding edge of what technology could actually do in a live setting.
Right now we can just play the music and know it will be fairly intimate.
What kind of problems did you have that are erased now?
A group tends to fly on automatic pilot very easily at that level. It's incredibly unintimate. It's amazingly easy to play in front of 17,000 blacked out faces. You don't feel any pressure at all because the sound system is so enormous. And the whole schmozzle is such an isolated and insulated kind of affair. There's almost no reaction.
Then there was the tour. Imagine standing in a crowd in 1981. You're wearing your Red Tour shirt from 1974. You're expecting the flying wall of sound. You're expecting doom and gloom. Instead, 4 guys walk out in sharp suits. No dry eyes, no capes, just 4 guys standing perfectly still, playing music that sounds like a computer having a panic attack.
Very interesting to see how audiences have changed in the past 12 years. At the moment, there's a remarkable amount of hostility.
The tension in those rooms was thick. People didn't know if they should dance or call a mathematician. And that's the conflict that makes this story so good. It's the story of a man who was willing to lose his entire audience just to prove that he wasn't finished evolving. Fripp wasn't just returning to the stage. Fripp was redefining the rules of the game. Fripp showed that the most dangerous move isn't doing something brand new. It's doing something brand new while carrying the name of your past on your back. It's the refusal to be a museum piece. Next time you hear a band like Tool or Radiohead doing something that sounds impossible, look back to 1981. Look at those 4 guys in the suits. They took the biggest risks in rock history. They didn't just survive the 80s, they conquered them by refusing to play by the rules. Stay curious as always. Thank you for watching this, see you in the next one.